Today we're out in Amsterdam to drive a brand new BMW, but this is a BMW unlike any other we've driven before. It's all electric for a start, and it's also got a body made from carbon fibre. More than that, it's also the smallest car that BMW currently makes. So it's a new dawn for BMW, and with it comes a new I brand. And this car, the i3, is the one that kicks it all off. But is it really a BMW? For me, BMWs are all about four things: a sharp rear-wheel drive chassis, cutting-edge technology, a general sense of quality, and outlandish styling. It definitely does look like a BMW because, as you'll notice, it's got the double kidney grille, but for the i3 it's been given a bit of a futuristic update because it's completely blanked out for aerodynamics. Then, of course, you've got the BMW badge, but as you can see, it's got some nice blue detailing around it. And then if you come around to the side, you'll see that it is actually a full four-door car, but the ones at the back are just these little rear opening coach doors. And then because of the carbon fibre body, which you can actually see down here, which is quite cool, it's really stiff, so there's no need for a B-pillar, and yeah, that makes it nice and easy to just get in and out or even just load things into the back. And having a really stiff body like that means that it should be really good to drive. Having a carbon fibre body shell stops the car from flexing too much in the bends, and it's also resulted in a really low overall weight. Even with 230 kilograms of batteries on board, the i3 weighs in at just 1,195 kilos, so that makes it more than 300 kilograms lighter than the Nissan Leaf. So first impressions of the i3 are that it feels a lot like any other electric car because it's very quiet, it's very smooth, it's very easy to drive, and you do get that nice hit of instant torque that you get in all electric cars. But it's fair to say that in the i3 you do get it to a larger extent because there's a 0 to 62 time of 7.2 seconds. So we're talking here about the kind of performance that can rival a Renault Sport Clio, for example. And if you're just going along at 30 and you floor the throttle, you do get a real kind of neck-snapping hit of acceleration. We had a top-spec i3 with the sweet interior trim, and it's the perfect futuristic design for this type of car. Two large LCD screens display all the information, while reconstituted plastics, untreated eucalyptus wood and naturally tanned leather not only give a sense of quality, but also of sustainability. A special sat-nav comes as standard, which can take you to a recharging point within the remaining range. And then there are systems available to steer you through traffic jams and even sense rear collisions. The handling is pretty good, and that's basically because all of the weight, the batteries and everything is below the floor, and everything above that is basically just the carbon fibre body, so there's a really low centre of gravity. And when you pair that up with the really nice, quick, responsive BMW steering, which has just a subtle amount of feedback, then it actually feels really nice to drive. It does have really skinny tyres, so there's not a lot of grip, and although it's rear-wheel drive and 50-50 weight distribution, it won't do any silly oversteer stuff unless you're really showing off. But I suppose that makes sense for something which is essentially just a city car. So that's all the BMW criteria ticked off the list, but there's one very important thing that you need to test with electric cars, and that's how far they'll go on a single charge. BMW says that the i3 will go 125 miles, but then that's only if you've got it in Eco Pro Plus mode and if there's a very careful driver at the wheel. What we're going to do is just drive normally, and we're going to keep it in comfort because I imagine that's what most drivers will do. And BMW says then we should get anywhere between 80 and 100 miles. And at the moment, the readout is saying 135 kilometres, so that's 85-ish miles. So we'll do a quick kind of 40-mile route and come back to you with a reading at the end of that just to get a better idea of how many miles it will be able to do. Okay, so we've just finished a 70.5 kilometre test route, which is just over 50 miles-ish, and the trip computer is now saying that we've got 57 kilometres of range. which is not too far off what it was reading originally. It said we had 135 kilometres at the beginning, and having covered 70, that should now read 65 kilometres. So that kind of shows that the 80 to 100 mile estimate that BMW gives is actually pretty accurate, although I should say that we didn't actually get to go on any motorway during this route, and that tends to have a pretty bad effect on electric car range. If that still doesn't sound like far enough for you to live with, then for a couple of grand extra over the standard car, BMW will sell you a range extender i3. This features a 650cc motorcycle engine and a 9 litre fuel tank, and with that you'll be able to manage about 180 miles. Okay, so after a couple of 100 miles with the BMW i3, you can now really say that this is a true BMW, but it's just one that you plug in. And unlike any other BMW, it is also quite expensive. The standard i3, the one without the range extending engine, is £25,860, and that's even with £5,000 taken off by the government. In the world of electric cars though, that's probably not that bad. I mean, it's about the same as a top spec Leaf, and the range extender version is going to cost about the same as a Vauxhall Ampera. But there's one thing about the i3 that those cars don't have. It's actually really desirable. This is an electric car that I really want to own. And I suppose that, more than anything, cements the fact that this really is a true BMW.